My mother is widowed, without many funds and suffering from heart failure, with an ejection fraction of less than 15% and a bunch of other stuff wrong with her. She isn't eligible for a transplant for a number of reasons, and at this point, according to optimistic doctors, she has another 10 years left. Before her diagnosis, she had a lot of money saved for retirement, but since then, to pay for all of the medical expenses she has and her expensive meds on a monthly basis, she's had to sell her home and move in with me, her only child. So, I've been letting her live with me rent-free for about 3 years now, since she fell sick. Things have mostly been fine, but that's because I haven't been in a relationship during this time. I've had relationships in the past that would end because of my fear of my parents finding out, who were always extremely homophobic, especially my mom. My mom isn't homophobic with the excuse of religion, she just blatantly hates the entire movement and has said some incredibly hurtful things over the years without knowing I'm gay that have stuck with me all my life. But, she's my mother, so I accepted her into my home because she didn't have anywhere else to go as no extended family could or were willing to accommodate her. A few months ago I met my current boyfriend, we'll call him Steve. I decided that I'll have some balls and tell my mom I'm gay and introduce Steve to her afterwards, judging by her reaction, since she literally lives with me, I thought just maybe she could sit and bear it and then find out for herself that her entire worldview is wrong after seeing us together for a while. Not only did she tell me she's disappointed in me and started crying about how she should have raised me better, she told me I was going to catch AIDS and die if I stay with him. I told her she has a month to find other living accommodations and that she can't stay here and that I don't care where she goes as long as she gets out of my house. I said this quite calmly and gave her notice to find someplace, so I think I didn't do anything wrong, but other members of my family think that I've practically made my mother homeless, and since no one else wants to accommodate her and she has no funds and a severe disability, she'll end up in a shelter. Honestly, it's not my problem anymore. I'm sick of sacrificing for her when she can't even accept me for who I am, so if she's homeless, she had it coming. But anyway, do you think I'm the idiot? Not the idiot. However, think about how this played out. You came out to a lifetime virulent homophobe, yet somehow expected that she would change her entire worldview. In anger that she didn't become a different person who gave you the love and acceptance you deserve, you gave her a month to move out during a pandemic. I know this sub is quick to tell people to cut off family members, and I don't think you should stay with a judgmental idiot in your own house. But people have complicated love for parents, and you might, as the deadline gets closer, find yourself weakening. Everyone's the idiot here. I'm currently in the process of planning and preparing my coming out to my homophobic parents. A lot of what I'm thinking about as I plan it is how to make the information as easy as possible for them to digest, since I already know that they will feel hurt by the information and won't take it well, even if in a perfect world, this would not be the case. I would establish some ground rules about her behavior, especially around your boyfriend. If she says hurtful things toward him, you will serve her with an eviction notice. But seriously, give her some time to adjust to the new information. You can't really just demand that people change their views instantly or be homeless. It's your home, she should have considered her own position in it before she opened her mouth. As vulnerable as she is, she still chose to do that to you. You shouldn't have to live with someone who has no respect for or understanding of who you are. As for the family members giving you crap, they won't take her in either. That tells you a lot. It's awful that she's sick, but it's been her choice her whole life to be homophobic. Actions have consequences. I have consistently put money away for my kids' college funds since they were young. Their education was important to me. I worked very hard to get my degree and eventually my master's. I didn't want my kids to be burdened or worried about funds when they went to school. My son got into a decent school and started off well. Then his grades slumped and he said he was dropping out. He's now 23 and has been bouncing from one odd job to the next. He took some blue-collar job and moved out with his girlfriend, who is a waitress. Long story short, they ended up getting married. Then they both lost their jobs. I wasn't worried about it because they always seemed to have money for sporting games, home decor, etc. My son told me that he and his wife were flat broke and severely in debt. True, they worked long hours, but they still weren't making enough to support their lifestyle, and it's important to them to do fun things together. That is the crux of their relationship because they are both very social and fun people. He also mentioned that their home needed repairs and both needed new cars. My son asked me to let him tap in what remained of his college fund to help them get out of debt, fix their home and cars. There is about 45k left. I told him no. That money was for college and not some newlywed slush fund. He had 2 years to go back to college and he decided he didn't want to. As I saw it, he forfeited that money and I want to use it to remodel my house. I bit my tongue when he got married, dropped out of school, took dead-end jobs, etc., but I am not bailing him out this time. Edit. I couldn't care less what his wife does. Point is that she was making as much money as the person who started months before and she's been there 3 years. Dead-end job. And my son was a process engineer or whatever the hell that is. His place got shut down too. Edit 2. My son called me saying his wife's restaurant is closing permanently. She worked at the soup plantation. My son and his wife likes having nice things. I felt like he was a bit spoiled but he disagrees. He wants all the things he couldn't have as a kid, even though he can't afford it. He does not get that I can afford stuff and he can't. Not the idiot. Some of your wording is a bit harsh. However, the money you work to earn, save, and invest with the intent of helping your son financially with college expenses is your money, not his. If it isn't used for his college or other education, for instance, trade school, then you are well reasoned to spend it on something else that you value. Your son and his wife are adults and need to take responsibility for themselves. Your son is barely an adult, right? He's 23, so he's become an adult 2 years ago, legally. I don't think it's an idiot move of his to be asking his mother for help. It's not an idiot move of you to deny help either. The money is yours, right? It's not in his name. So in that case you're fine to remodel your house with it. But maybe help your son out by going over his financial with him. He's a young adult, yes, but someone raised him financially and clearly whoever this was didn't do a good enough job teaching him finances. You are the idiot because you are using the money to control him and haven't explored some middle ground. At the end of the day, what you were hoping for was that a college education would give him a boost towards a successful life. If you have narrowly established that those funds can only be used towards college, then I think this ignores the fact that your son may not be a classroom learner and there are other pathways to success. I am not saying you need to bail him out of his poor spending choices, but could some of the funds be put towards a meeting with someone to teach him and his wife money management and a career counselor to help him get a better sense of what he's be good at and maybe towards getting training in the skilled trades. My fiancé and I were planning to get married this year anyway. We obviously can't do a full wedding, but we need to legally marry now for legal reasons and health insurance. In my area, weddings can only have a maximum of 15 people, and that includes the officiant, the bride and groom, and any vendors they have. So with just the bare minimum, us, officiant, and a photographer, we can only have 11 guests. My fiancé has his parents and 5 siblings, all of whom live in the state and are close. I have my parents, who are divorced and remarried, and 2 siblings. Including the step-parents, we have 17 people total, which is 2 over the limit. We have to clip by 2 people. Bio parents can't be cut. Siblings are all close, and we can't just cut siblings out without an even worse fallout. So that leaves the newer spouses. I like them both and the relationship is good, but they're the closest to extra people that we can cut from this wedding. I know this sounds horrible. My stepmother is furious, says I don't respect her or any marriage, and that it's horribly wrong to split up a married couple, no matter what the circumstance. My stepfather is sad, but understands that I can't really control the situation. Not marrying now isn't practical advice. We can't just bend the rules and have them, because the police will give us a heavy fine, and we will be forced to completely disperse. I'm willing to come take pictures with them later, they just can't come to the actual wedding. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. In any other circumstance, she would be invited. This isn't about the legitimacy of their marriage, it's about your siblings taking precedence over a step-parent. You can send her a note explaining this, but ultimately there's nothing you can do if she's set on being offended by it. My main concern would be your dad, who she is obviously putting in a difficult position. Talk him about your disappointment about not being able to invite her. Don't badmouth her, even though sane people everywhere know she's being unreasonable, and be compassionate about his distress. Don't turn this into a her or me decision. let her selfishness speak for itself. When you try to please everyone, you end up upsetting them instead. You're stating this is a very important, once-in-a-lifetime ceremony, yet don't understand why your steps are angry. You have to be fair with everyone. If I were in your shoes, I wouldn't invite anyone to the actual ceremony and have them all watch a live stream. You can have a reception later, when things get less complicated. You're in a hard spot, but everyone's the idiot here for emotionally manipulating and not being empathetic. Not the idiot, however, perhaps one of your guests can officiate the ceremony. Easy to get ordained online. I recognize that this may not be a viable option based on your faith. Also depends on how important the photographer is, maybe get a sibling to take photos. Obviously, these would be professional quality, so I understand if that is too much to ask. If these solutions don't work, then step-parents are next to go. Bad situation, but understandable. My girlfriend, Emily, 23, and I, 30, have been dating for a year. We live together. Emily is a freelance writer, and she is also studying for her master's. She has this hobby of making stuffed toys, tablecloths, scarves and stuff. But the most expensive and interesting ones are her glass cups and plates. She makes paintings on them and stores them in a shelf. I often pay for more than half of her materials. I got laid off from work last January, and our financial condition was really bad by February, so I asked her if she could sell some of her crafts for money. She flat out refused and said that she is working extra hard and I should start looking for a job. I knew it was difficult for me to get a job and that harder days were coming, so I decided to sell some of her glass crockery and tablecloths on Etsy. I didn't tell her before selling them because I knew that she wouldn't understand. We survived February and March with her freelance money and glass crockery sets and some of our savings. Today she was cleaning the shelves and she asked me if I knew where her crockery was. I told her that I'd sold them and she went absolutely hysterical. I was going to tell her later because I knew that she wouldn't understand otherwise. She called me a thief and demanded that I return her crockery immediately. I told her it was impossible and that she could always make the exact same ones. She hasn't talked to me and is being completely unreasonable and inconsiderate. Am I the idiot? You're the idiot. Obviously. An easy way to tell that you're about to be an idiot is this: if you have to resort to lying and sneaking to accomplish what you want, it's almost certain you're in the wrong. If you paid for the material your girlfriend used and she agreed to pay you back for it, although I'm not getting the impression that's the case, then you are certainly welcome to discuss reimbursement with her, but she added value to those pieces that exceed the cost of the raw materials, and she is right when she says that you stole from her. I see your comment saying you paid for the materials. Here's an example for you. It would be like she bought you a box of Legos and you build that item. Then she sells it behind your back and does not tell you because you wouldn't understand. With your logic, she bought the box of Legos. So she has the right to sell them even after you put all the work into building it. Just because you paid for the materials doesn't make you entitled to her final product. You gave them to her as a gift so she can enjoy her hobby. Those items were personal to her and you just sold them. I think it would have been a good idea to sit down with her and you both have a conversation about finances and propose the idea of selling some of the items. I think she may have been more willing to have sold some things had this been done, and she would have seen how low money was getting. I also think you should have told her you would be actively looking for some form of employment and selling something would just keep you both on your feet until both of you had two incomes again. Also maybe have offered to sell some of your possessions too, that way both of you would be giving up things temporarily. I, 19, just started dating a girl I really like a couple months ago. I was hanging out with my friend, I'll call Joe, who is also 19 and has a crush on this girl Sarah, 18. Anyway, we were all hanging out and there were no more seats in the car, so I suggested she sit on Joe's lap, but she chose to sit on mine, so I put a jacket on my lap so she wasn't directly on me. I felt really uncomfortable because she's just sitting on me and I have a girlfriend who she knows I have. Anyway, when we stopped to get gas I made her sit on my friend's lap instead and she started to full on cry because I didn't want her to sit on me and I had put a jacket. I felt awkward and bad for my friend who likes her and she was just crying on his lap and said I was a jerk. She ended up texting me saying we have to talk about us and I said, what are you talking about us? And she said that I was giving her mixed signals because she thought there was something between us. I said nope, I'm like this with all my friends, and she said I thought you were like that with Joe as a joke, because he's just your friend but me, it's because you liked me, and that it made her confused, because she knows I have a girlfriend. I said nope, I'm like that with everyone, and told her I'm happy with my girlfriend, and I don't want to date her. She called me an idiot and I haven't seen her since. Her best friend texted me and said I was being an idiot. I told my girlfriend, 19, against my friend's wishes, who are also her friends, not Sarah, but Joe is, and she laughed and said that boys are so oblivious and that she could tell Sarah had a crush on me, but she trusted me to make the right choices. Basically, she didn't really care, just thought Sarah was kind of crappy for trying to go after a guy with a girlfriend. So, am I the idiot? I legit didn't really know she had a crush on me. It kind of dawned on me that night. I never pursued her. I slept over her house once because I was too drunk to drive, but I slept on the floor and didn't let her near me, and I would mention my girlfriend a lot because I'm excited about dating her. Apparently she thought I liked her because she once asked me if I would join her art club, and I said sure. I don't understand girls. I really don't. Not the idiot, sounds like she's just super entitled and hates being told no. A guy having a girlfriend is not mixed messages, it's a very clear marker that he is not available. But you're all idiots for driving around with a grown adult sitting on someone's lap. You all are gonna get yourselves or someone else hurt or killed. If you don't have enough seats, take 2 cars or don't freaking drive. The thing is, even if it were true that you were some cheating idiot giving her mixed signals, she knows you have a girlfriend. Where's her dignity? Her morals? She should know better than to try anything with you like sitting on your lap while knowing you're in a relationship. Do not feel bad for her. And you should not feel bad for her, no matter how much she cries. Like your girlfriend said, it's crappy she would knowingly go after a guy with a girlfriend. And her friend that texted you is delusional too. She forced herself onto a ride she should not have been on due to lack of seats. Seriously, there's a little everyone's the idiot here. Please don't do that in cars. My ambulance days are behind me, but I still have flashbacks of avoidable RTAs caused by lack of seatbelts, overloading cars, feet on dashboards, etc. She then cried because she didn't have consent to sit on your lap. This is pretty bad, that she was let loose by her parents without learning social skills like rejection. Hopefully, she'll mature soon. But she knew you were taken, out of safety, and everyone else is at risk by shoehorning herself into a ride she wasn't invited to, then cried when the guy with a girlfriend rejected her. I love that your girlfriend trusts you and is so chill. That's maturity.